Everybody. Today we are meeting with Skye Buatava from Australia. This is very exciting day for us because the one of the most important and effective women about occupational health and safety in Australia is meeting with us in this interview. Welcome, Skye Buatava.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Today we will discuss about the last World Congress on occupational health and safety. So we want to also know about Skye Buatava because she is so successful on his profession, and we want to meet with young people about the future of their life, what they can do. We will take some advice from Skye about our profession. Firstly, could you please tell about yourself with your words?
Yes, thank you for that. I am the director of the 23rd World Congress, which on safety and health at work, which concluded in November. I'm also the director of the Centre for Work Health and Safety, which is a research and development team within the regulator in the state government here in Australia, and I can talk to you a little bit about that. So part of the Work Health and Safety Regulator as well. So I'm based in Australia, in its main state of New South Wales. And our remit really is around the compliance and enforcement of work health and safety in this state. And the Centre for Work Health and Safety really looks at presenting evidence-based products, tools and checklists and assets that can be made free to everybody in workplaces that help to prevent harm. So that's just a little bit about me, Vedat.
Thank you. And we are very curious about this question because everybody have got their stories, different stories. What motivates you to work in this field?
Yeah, I actually fell into this role. It was not where I started my career. So, I worked for an airline for over a decade as an example. So I kind of fell into the role, but I think what motivates me is the purpose and the public duty that we have in being able to prevent harm in the workplace. I think what's also very motivating about the field of work health and safety is that it's always changing, which makes our roles challenging at times, but also very interesting. So being able to prevent harm in that changing world of work and being able to challenge the way that we do things or the way that things are done for the good of our workers is extremely motivating.
Yeah, great. And we want to ask, what do you personally think should be done globally to improve the future of occupational health and safety environment?
Yeah, I think given the world is changing, the world of work is changing so significantly. I think that there is a lot that we can do together. And that's really where I will start. I think my experience from the World Congress that was held in November, this event saw people from 127 nations come to Australia. There were 3,000 people at this event. And what we did at that event was made sure that we had a diversity of representatives from right across our work health and safety community present on the stage to see the different ideas, to understand the different perspectives. And what we saw was together, we have wonderful solutions and wonderful ways that we can help each other. And that doesn't just come from developed nations. There are some wonderful and innovative things that we're seeing coming out of developing nations as well, that maybe have less bureaucracy and are able to move a little bit quickly or more quickly than other nations when we're talking about adopting or a new technology as an example to help with work health and safety challenges. So the World Congress was a wonderful event where I think it's the first time we've seen such a truly global set of perspectives. And I think in that memory, it would be wonderful for us to take advantage and to continue to move in that path, to work together as a global community. The challenges that we face in Australia are not too different to those that might be faced in Papua New Guinea or in Norway, as an example. And I think that's something we should all be excited about, but also work together and take on the opportunity.
Yeah, the last Congress was very effective, and people share too much opinions, good opinions on the LinkedIn and other platforms. So we are very happy to see that this Congress is going very well because it is also affecting all over the world about the communication, about the network. So thank you very much, Skye, for your works and efforts. And the other question is about your projects, your organization. What are the projects that the Center for Work Health and Safety plans to do globally in the future?
Yes, thank you for that. The Centre for Work Health and Safety, as I mentioned, is a research arm within the New South Wales government. And there is wonderful benefit being part of government. And our approach is one where we really do look at the community, the work health and safety community, to better understand our challenges and try and help prevent harm. So some of the projects that we look at, there's really two streams of work. One is looking at better regulation. So as a work health and safety regulator, how can we be more effective? And then the other arm, which is the majority of the work, is the prevention of harm. And we break that down into a couple of areas. One looks at traditional harms, falls from heights, exposure to chemical and things like that. The second stream looks at future world of work. So the new and emerging harms, artificial intelligence, robotics or collaborative robots, and things that are coming our way, even gig economy. So some of the projects that we have ongoing at the moment, one of them is called Strengthening the Priority of Work Health and Safety for Business Leaders. That one specifically is looking at the changing social proposition. So ESG is the common term used globally: environment, social and governance. And work health and safety is a core part of the social proposition and the UN's Sustainable Development Goals. And seeing work health and safety within that sphere and taking advantage of how do we elevate, how do we prioritise that proposition which business care about to help lift the priority of work health and safety, and how do we support business to do that? So that is one example of our project, whereby we will do the work with boards, with business leaders. We will produce a product and a tool at the end of that will help boards and business leaders. And then we make that available for free on our website. We have produced recently tools like, an artificial intelligence scorecard for work health and safety. And that's for people that are either already have artificial intelligence in the workplace or are looking to implement artificial intelligence in the workplace. This is the very first scorecard that actually lets you go through a checklist from end to end and consider the work health and safety harms and proactively mitigate or manage those. Similarly, we have a suite of products available for collaborative robots. And again, if you have collaborative robots in your workplace, how do you make sure that they are there and they are there safely and going to ensure that your workers are not affected negatively by them? So we have a lot of projects ongoing and a lot of projects that have been delivered to date, and we're always creating something new. The intention is to work with the community and then put those tools, those assets, those things back into the community, and they are available to be picked up globally. So that's, you know, while it's something we do in Australia, these are things that anybody can pick up and utilize.
Yeah, very good, fantastic. We will always follow your projects for our education. Also, I advise and remind our viewers, audience, about their question. This is an interaction interview, so you can also ask your questions, and then we will share with Skye. So my other question is about what would you recommend to young people who take you as their guide to do in the field of prevention? This is a special question for our audience.
Thank you. My advice to young people would be to work health and safety can be very challenging because we have to have a level of technical understanding, even just a high level, across such a broad set selection of topics. You know, you could be talking about psychosocial risk or sexual harassment in the workplace, right through to physical harm that might pertain to a tower crane. So it is extremely, extremely broad. So my advice to anybody entering the field, and certainly my path has followed this advice, is to try lots of things. I think that despite the diversity of your experience, whether it's within or slightly outside of this field, you learn something every time. And I think that's what can make you more effective in your role, because you haven't just learned one thing. You have learned lots of different things in lots of different environments. And I mentioned earlier that I had worked in for an airline for a decade. I've worked in telecommunications. And even when I came to SafeWork New South Wales, you know, I worked initially in the investigations team before I moved across to engineering, before I set up the Centre for Work Health and Safety. And as you know, for the last 3 years, I've been managing an event, essentially, putting on the World Congress. So there's some rich diversity in my experience, and that would be my best advice to young people, is to continue to learn always through your career, and don't be afraid of things that are slightly outside of the standard field. Get that breadth of experience.
Yeah. And I think they need to ask also themselves about the patient on this field they have got or not, because I think our profession is so different from the others. It is not starting in the field on workplace, and doesn't finish on workplace also, because on the social life, if we solve something in a bad situation, we need to do something also on this situation. So we need to have a big passion to continue on this profession, because every time we will stay against to the problems, just on the problems. So we need to have a strong passion to do something.
And that can be really rewarding to Vedat. I think that's what I found coming from private practice into government, and a lot of people that are in work health and safety, I think, relate the same. It gives you such a sense of purpose, and that's what keeps people coming back to a role, and often a very challenging role, in work health and safety over and over again. That sense of duty to your fellow man is extremely important and very purposeful.
Sure, thank you. And the other question is about what is the global problems of occupational health and safety environment professionals. What do you think?
Yeah, so I think the challenges for the work health and safety profession, before we go to the professionals, are quite similar globally. You know, and the two or three most prevalent that we saw, particularly represented at the World Congress, were things like the changing world of work was definitely number one, and that was looking at, you know, not just technology, but, you know, things that we need to look after in the workplace, like psychosocial risk or mental health. That was an absolute, like psychosocial risk, and that's probably the second one. But the changing world of work, I think, was very much around technology. And the second part of that is the changing work engagement. And what I mean by that is informal work, gig economy, different ways that we're now engaging our workforce are less traditional, and keeping pace with these changes is tough. So that would be number one, is the changing world of work and technology, and the changing way in which we engage people. Number two is mental health. So psychosocial risk, which could include bullying and harassment in the workplace. You know, it could be sexual harassment, or generally the pressures from work is probably the second significant challenge worldwide. And I think what's interesting there is we now understand the importance of good mental health, not just in the workplace, but for life. So we have a real opportunity there in the workplace, given we spend such a long time in our lives working, and a significant portion of our day working. If we have good mental health, good working relationships, good work, purpose, autonomy, that all contributes to a good life. So that's probably the second one I would mention there. And I think the final one I will mention, and there's a much greater list, of course, is climate change and the effects of a changing climate, not only on the world, but absolutely affecting our workers, whether you're talking about heat, or floods, you know, and other adverse weather elements, that affects every industry. And at the World Congress, we saw people talking about, you know, we had somebody from Singapore present on, you know, that very urban environment that has quite a significantly hot and humid climate. And what about our workers that are working outdoors as the temperatures rise? You know, right through to others. I think in Canada, we were talking about floods that had affected, you know, electrical distribution. You know, these are things that are absolutely global, and something that we are all challenged to face in the future.
When I ask this question, also thinking about my experience, I work both for an American company and in gas stations. So our customers is one of customers is from European side, the other one is from American countries. So the standard is so different. All the workers, technicians, is doing different things, different paperwork, different rules. So everything is mixed in the file in the gas stations. So I think we just also need to come together and think the best choice or the standards to do in our profession, because our profession is so global profession. Everybody can globally work in different countries without doing too much things. But this type of small and basic things is making a challenge in our profession.
Yes, and I think you are right, absolutely, and that is always going to be something that exists. Different standards in different nations, even different regulation. You know, some nations have law and very progressive and developed and mature laws, and others are just starting out. Some don't have any at all around work health and safety. So I think that the opportunity there for everybody is to work together, is to share the knowledge. When we were in Sydney for the World Congress in November, and the same could be said for the work health and safety profession, we took the opportunity as the regulator to set up an international regulator network. Now, that's just an example of where globally we're able to communicate, to share information, to ask questions of each other, because together we are more powerful. You know, those sorts of opportunities for the work health and safety profession are also important. I reflect on some of the information and conversations I had with some of our colleagues in Papua New Guinea, and they spoke about limited laws, but and this particular industry was mining that I'm reflecting on, but as a multinational industry and very connected with multinational organisations, they took advantage of doing good work health and safety because socially that is what is expected, as opposed to just trying to adhere to the laws. And for me, there was a real positive behavior, I think, displayed there, in that, you know, being able to do what is right first and foremost, not because they had to, from a legislative perspective, but because they should. That's a really nice opportunity to open up to the businesses of the world as it relates to looking after their workforce.
Yeah, and I want to thank you very much for answer. And I will ask my last question and want to remind our audience, our viewers, watchers, to ask your question on LinkedIn or YouTube, and follow us for the next our interviews. We will continue. So my last question is about the World Congress, because everybody didn't have a chance to come
Sure.
because of some maybe economical or other issues. Many of our viewers missed out of 23rd World Congress. Can they still access the content? How they can follow the Congress?
Yeah, it's a great question. Thank you for that. One of the things we did at the World Congress, aside from making sure we had the global perspectives provided, is we also recorded every session. And when we were looking for speakers for those sessions, we also asked our speakers to not just come along and speak to their topic of the day, but to also offer the tool or the paper or the checklist or the guide that they were talking to as an asset that could be given to the delegates that attended the World Congress. And this was really important for us because we wanted the World Congress to be more than just a nice couple of days out of the office. And we all love getting together at a conference, but we also understood that Australia is very far away, and to get there for everybody is just unachievable. So what we've offered is essentially what we're calling an on-demand ticket, which means you can purchase a ticket to the World Congress today and access all of that content online. So essentially that means that you can go and watch all of the sessions. You can go and access all of these assets. We have hundreds of tools and checklists and products that are all designed to help prevention of harm in the workplace by purchasing that on-demand ticket. And that will give you access for between another 4 to 5 months. We've just extended that for another 3 months. It was only available for 3 months from November, but we're now extending it out to the end of May. So if you jump onto through Google Safety 2023 Sydney, that will take you to the website and you can certainly access that. But it is rich global content that you can watch, but then you also get the asset and you can download that and use that in your workplace.
Yeah, very nice. Thank you very much for answer. This is a very good chance for the people who want to join. And also I want to show that how they can connect with your organization. This is a website, Center for WHS, and they can connect with you also from LinkedIn, I think.
Yeah, yes, absolutely.
Yeah, that's very good. And I will come to the question from LinkedIn and YouTube from our viewers. So one of them Adan Dimek, hello everybody. I am from Ethiopia. He said, "Thank you very much, Adan. It's nice to see your comment." And I want to ask the other question from Ramin. Ramin Mir Huseinov. What is the mechanism to mentoring? I will show also from our system. It is from the system. So what is the mechanism to monitoring fulfillment to the countries which were ratified in ILO Convention No 155?
Yeah, so look, I mean that's really a matter for each government. So we have the ILO convention. You're right, that has been accepted about the right to good work. Each nation then needs to essentially adopt that following the ratification within the convention. So I probably can't speak too well on that. That is an International Labour Organization comment. I think the lesson that I took from the World Congress is that people and businesses can move forward to make a change themselves. If we always wait for government or for international bodies like the ILO to enact that change, and please don't misunderstand, that is very important for that leadership. But if we wait for that change, that can be, a missed opportunity. It's delaying the ability to prevent harm. So I like to think about prevention of harm as a global effort for everybody right across the work health and safety community, whether you are a worker, a business leader, an academic, let alone government and associations like them. If you're a work health and safety professional or in any of those other roles, you can definitely affect the prevention of harm. So look, there is a long process, is the short answer, following ratification, and that will move through nation by nation to actually adopt that following ratification.
Yeah, thank you very much for the answer. And the other question is long. Ramin Miruseinov again. In the HSE, spare a lot of certification, IOSH, NIBOSH, and etc. But most of them is duplicate each other. And in my opinion, is a time to create one entire global certification, because one employer search for NIBOSH, another for IOSH, and HSE professions is stuck while searching for the next opportunities, he said.
Yes. So thank you for the question. Look, I think that there's, you're right, there probably is duplication. There absolutely is duplication across the different associations. And we also live in, a world now where it's easy to move countries, or relatively easily to move countries and work in the same profession. So universally accepted accreditation would be wonderful. I don't think we're quite there. I think the benefit of having multiple organisations is the ability to offer local connection and provide a voice for local participants through those different associations. So that may be lost if we only had a global association. I know that each of the different national associations do try to connect through INCHPO, so through the International Safety and Health Professionals Organisation, and perhaps communication and sharing would benefit from being improved to avoid some of that duplication. Sometimes there is need for differences, of course, and full disclosure, I'm an independent director with the Australian Institute of Health and Safety, which is our professional association in Australia. But definitely collaboration across the professional associations is significantly important. It will be difficult, and we're of course subject to different law in different nations around the professionalization of the work health and safety environment, but then also the accreditation provided, and quite often that is a local requirement.
Yeah, and I work for global wind organizations. I take any certification from this execution, and everybody is taking this GBO certification from this execution. So everybody can work with this certification in any wind industries farm project site. So there is some example around the world in different section, different sectors. So we need to, as you said, we need to collaborate from all over the world to come together and do something for our profession best. I think everybody have got patience, but someone need to come and say that we need to start to do that. And the last question.
And I think sorry, Vidat, I think the only other thing I'd say about the professional associations is that they're more than just accreditation. So, you know, that connection, the training, the capability building, they're additional items in, you know, over and above having or authorizing somebody as a work health and safety professional. And we can't underestimate those networks and the power of those networks. That's certainly very important with regards to the professional association that I'm a part of, making sure that you have all of those things in addition to the accreditation.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. Thank you for nice answer. And from the now, Ramin, I will ask two questions, and then we will, if there is no others, we will finish. Thank you for everybody joining us. ESG requirements is same as ISU 14001 requirements. Could you share more widely about that, please? He asked, and also the last comment is about, yes, it is for alternative energy sector, GBO. Yes, it is correct.
Yes.
This is an example for everybody.
Yeah. So the international standard with regards to ESG is you know, obviously significantly about reporting, and I think we need to start to think about the benefit to a company's representation of positive ESG and move away from it's just something that we report on in our annual report for that reputation, because ultimately that's what a lot of the standard is built around is, you know, how do you meet these requirements to ensure people are doing the right thing. And the work health and safety element of ESG is one that I think we will expand over the coming years. So I think with regards to ESG, I focus a little bit less on the standard because it is very light on around work health and safety, and maybe look to thinking about that practical application and even connecting it to why it is good for business. So we move again a little bit away from capability and a little bit more purpose. And I think the bit that is underestimated, and we're doing work in this space, is that boards of big companies and even small companies understand that ESG and a positive ESG for most people is really important. And what we're finding in our research is that companies understand that a good ESG proposition equals profit. Now, what we need to do as the work health and safety profession is elevate the work health and safety element within ESG, because it can be just considered and it's more prominent as environment and sustainability. We need to focus in on the social element of ESG and elevate work health and safety. The last thing I'll say on that is, while boards understand that ESG equals profit, they don't widely understand that work health and safety is part of ESG. So that is our challenge, to connect those dots, but also to have the work health and safety element put into a business strategy to help with an ESG proposition. And that's where you can link it to appropriate monitoring and reporting, which is where you might go back and have a look at the international standard.
Thank you very much. And this is the last question from audience. So we are so happy to see you on these interviews, and we will continue to make some events and some projects all together in this field. and we wish you great success on your works on Australia, on all the global. We will always support you on your projects, and we are very happy to see in the last Congress as a director. You are a very great leader. Thank you very much for joining us. Yes, do you want to say something? And
no, thank you very much for having me. Please follow us on social media, connect on LinkedIn, have a look at our social media channels particularly. We'll always give you updates about the latest things that we're pushing out for free that you can use in your business, and certainly consider, you know, grabbing an on-demand ticket for the World Congress. But thank you for having me, Vadan.
Thank you. Thank you. We will create a website about our project, our interviews, so you can also follow our participants, speakers on the website. All the projects from them we will share on the page. Thank you very much, Skye. And then thank you very much for all the audience to joining us. And have a nice night for everybody.